All right. Good evening, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started with our webinar this evening regarding UNA scholarships. If I could, just a really quick favor, could I get someone in the chat to let me know if you guys can hear me? Everybody hear me okay? Okay, awesome. Thank you. Thank y'all. Okay, good deal. Well, my name's Hadley Skolnick. I'm the Associate Director of Admissions here at the University of North Alabama. I'm so excited that you all have chosen to join us to learn more about our scholarships and processes for incoming freshmen for the fall of 2026. Just to give you a quick outline of the evening, we'll go through the full slide presentation and I'll kind of talk you through scholarship opportunities and procedures. And then we'll go over the website a little bit. So I'll direct you to the website to show you where to access those scholarships and where to access this information after tonight. And then we'll end the webinar with some questions and answers that Miss Mary Harbor, our assistant director, will help me facilitate. So we'll get started here in just a second. But before I really get into it, can everybody see my screen okay? Want to make sure. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Good deal. Well, we'll go ahead and get started here. And again, we'll answer questions at the very end. So if you have any questions, feel free to throw those in the Q&A. The chat is on, but we're going to use the question and answer feature for those features tonight. So all right. So again, this is a UNA Scholarships and Next Steps webinar. We just wanted to give an overview of fall 2026 scholarships for our incoming freshmen. And you'll see my contact information there at the bottom. Before we really jump in, I want to reassure you, everyone who is signed up for this webinar will receive a recording. So don't feel pressured to memorize everything we say as we say it. And we'll also do a follow-up email. So if you have any questions at all, or if you want to follow up with us, please feel free to reach out and email us, or email me directly at lskolnick@una.edu, and we're more than happy to answer those questions. Okay, so again, just kind of going over today's goals. Really, first and foremost, I want to give you a timeline or an idea of where you are or where you might be in the process for our scholarships this year. I really just want to give you an idea of when applications open, when deadlines are, and when you can expect offers and updates regarding your scholarships. We do always have some hiccups in the process throughout the year, but we'll communicate those. So I just did want to reassure you that if anything changes or varies from the timeline we review tonight, you'll know via email. Students, please continue to check your emails for updates regarding scholarships. We'll send those to the email that you applied with, and as you're getting admitted, we'll send those to your UNA email as well. We're also going to go over today our application processes. So we're going to review the various application processes we utilize as a university and just want to make you aware of those so that you can maximize your opportunities with scholarships. And then last, but definitely not least, I would say the main goal this evening is to avoid unnecessary stress. And I think you'll find that that's always a goal of ours whenever we're discussing next steps for students or how to assist incoming freshmen. Our entire office is very aware of that this can be a very stressful process, but we want it to be fun. We want the college search process to be fun. And we also want our incoming freshmen to enjoy being seniors. So I really want to emphasize that as you're going through the motions of your last homecoming and your last prom and your last everything, we're aware of that and we're aware of that the nature of this time of year, and we want to celebrate with you and assist you as you work through your incoming scholarship processes. So here's our timeline that we're going to work with for the next couple of months. Again, as I mentioned, if we do experience any hiccups or delays in this process, we'll communicate those to you. Please be sure to check your emails that you applied with. But first, I kind of want to anchor us or reassure you that November is really just when we get started with scholarship applications. Our general and endowed scholarship application opened on November the 3rd. So it's been open for a couple of days now. We've been very excited to see that a lot of students have jumped right in and started that application process. And we just want to reassure you that that is accessible through your MyUNA account or through your MyUNA account login, as well as your UNA portal login. So once you're admitted, you're able to access this application, and it's available all over our website, but I'll share a direct link with you later on as well. But you'll be receiving emails and promotional materials regarding this specific application, and it has been opened as of November. Headed into December, we're focusing a lot on housing. I do like to mention housing at this phase of the process because we really try to release the first round of scholarship notifications for automatic academic awards around the housing application opening. The reason for that is with housing applications, this is the first time that we ask for a deposit in our process. We do not typically do a deposit model. We don't really have a deposit model that goes towards your fall tuition, but we will ask for a housing application deposit that is non-refundable in order to reserve your spot for fall of 2026. So we do like to start notifying students of academic scholarships as soon as possible around housing application time so that you're kind of aware of your scholarship and what you can anticipate. And so you're aware of your next steps as well. And then January through February is really when you want to put your head down and finalize your scholarship applications and make sure that you've turned everything in ahead of deadlines. We do typically recommend that students submit their leadership scholarship around mid-February. I really highlight and emphasize the leadership scholarship because it stacks well with our academic awards. And typically that's what we're promoting the most this time of year to incoming freshmen. So January through February, I just want to make you make you aware that the January through February timeline is really focusing on getting those applications in, getting them done, and checking in to make sure we have all of your materials. And then in March, most scholarships are going to be due March the 2nd. You'll notice that we emphasize most or the majority because our endowed and leadership scholarships are due then. We do have a few deadlines. For example, our Presidential Mentors Academy deadline is February the 1st. So if you're considering that particular program or that particular scholarship, you want to look at those deadlines a little bit earlier. But for the most part, March the 2nd is going to be your date to double check, triple check, make sure that all of your materials are in, and make sure that you've connected with your admissions counselor about your scholarship package. And then in April, you want to start finalizing your scholarship awards and looking at your projected cost. I really want to emphasize this particular part of the timeline because it emphasizes connection. I really want to emphasize that you should be connecting with your admissions counselors, not just at UNA, but anywhere that you're considering attending for the fall of 2026. Be sure that you're connecting with those individuals who are there to serve you and there to support you. I know that our admissions team is anticipating meeting with families and students one-on-one and talking a little bit more about scholarships versus cost and what they can expect. So just really want to emphasize that in April, you'll have received the majority of your scholarship opportunities, if not all of them. You'll kind of have an idea of cost for upcoming academic years, and you kind of want to look at those a little bit more intentionally with your admissions counselor and their support team. Okay. All right. So moving on from the timeline now. I really want to focus tonight. There were a couple of ways that our office discussed approaching this particular presentation, and ultimately we landed on assessing it by procedure, right? So we want to look at the different processes and procedures that go in with scholarships so that you're aware of your next steps and your checklist, so to speak, for scholarship applications. So I really just wanted you to have some tangible things to walk away with, and I really wanted to focus on those categories of processes so that you're aware and you can maximize your opportunities. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about automatic awards. Automatic awards are typically merit-based. So they're going to focus on your ACT scores, your test scores. It could be SAT as well. They're going to focus on your unweighted GPA. And we have a few other automatic awards that will assess based on various requirements. And what we mean by automatic is all you have to do to get those awards is get admitted and send us your test scores. So once you're admitted to UNA, you're automatically considered for a number of scholarship awards. But I really want to emphasize to you that while we are test optional for some scholarships and for admission, sitting in your test scores is just a really good step to make sure and cover all of your bases. And when it comes to the University of North Alabama, it's never going to be something that's counted against you. It's just documentation that we recommend that you have on file, but that, of course, we're not going to require. Next, after our automatic awards, we have the general and endowed application. We have kind of changed our process on this particular application this year, but what you need to know about the general and endowed application is it houses a variety of other scholarships that we offer, as well as our endowed or alumni gifted scholarships. So you're going to fill out one general form and you can opt into several scholarships that may have additional criteria or requirements. But this is kind of a good catch-all, for lack of a better word. Just doing our automatic scholarship process by being admitted and doing the general and endowed application covers the majority of your bases in terms of UNA scholarships. And then moving on to performance awards, these sort of speak for themselves in terms of the description. This could be anything from being a member of our band or participating in club sports on campus, or even athletics, or being involved in our various our media on campus. So we have a couple of scholarship programs on campus that require you to be involved or be a member of those organizations. So just want to emphasize those performance-based awards and kind of talk a little bit about how you can access those this evening. And then last on this slide, we have the documentation submission process. So when I was reviewing all of our how to apply steps on our scholarships, a number of our scholarships ask or request that you submit documentation supporting an award. For example, our valedictorian or salutatorian just requires a letter from your counselor, which we'll dive into those in just a moment here. So those are our 4 primary scholarship application processes. And now I would kind of like to look a little bit closer at each of those and talk to you about the names of those scholarships, just so you're aware of them. And again, I want to emphasize at this point in the presentation that at the very end, I'll transition over to our website and I'll walk you through how to access this information after this evening as well. So when discussing our automatic awards, we're primarily talking about merit-based awards that are automatically applied to you or your family's account. So the academic and presidential scholarships are our merit-based awards that look at your ACT score and your unweighted GPA. That chart has been widely advertised. These are pretty common. You'll see these at a lot of 4-year and 2-year schools across the state this time of year. And all you really need to know about academic and presidential is that you must be admitted and we need your test scores. From there, this is typically the first round of scholarships that you'll see kind of in late November, early December. These are the ones that I mentioned earlier in the timeline that you should see low about December whenever we're pushing out that housing application each year. And then we have the Tennessee Valley Scholars Program. Tennessee Valley is a little bit different. It does have a minimum ACT and GPA requirement, but this is based on what county you are from. So this is for counties that are within our local North Alabama area. I'll review a list here in just a moment or show you where to access the list. And these will also automatically appear on your account. Now, with these first 2 scholarships, I want to mention some terms that you'll hear me repeat several times throughout the presentation, and that's stackable and renewable. In terms of renewability, our academic and presidential scholarships renew for 4 years. So those are merit-based awards that you will receive every year that you're a student, so long as you maintain a 3.0 and above. However, Tennessee Valley scholarships are only for your first year. That's $1,000 towards your first year because you're from a county within that area with a certain ACT and GPA range. So that's kind of what we mean by automatic. And that shows you a little bit about the stackability and renewability of those scholarships. They will stack, however, Tennessee Valley does not renew. And then for our UNA early college participants, if you are a member of a dual enrollment program at your high school that has a dual enrollment agreement with the University of North Alabama, you will automatically be gifted a UNA early college scholarship based on the number of courses you've completed. So at least 2+ courses and your GPA of 3.0 and above within that program. So again, going back to if you've done UNA dual enrollment and your school has an agreement, if you've taken that class at your high school or you have a setup agreement through your high school central office, we will automatically gift that scholarship. And we'll go all over all of these a little bit more in depth in just a moment. So now cutting over to our other process. So before we were referring to automatic scholarships, all you had to do for those was get admitted and send your test scores. For this particular scholarship, you're going to have to complete our general and endowed scholarship application. And you'll notice that I grouped our leadership scholarship in Boys State up here at the top. So through our leadership scholarship application, you'll complete the general form on this application, and then you'll submit a resume. I really want to encourage you, if you're an incoming freshman, even considering attending UNA in the fall, go ahead and plan to do our leadership scholarship process. That is our scholarship that stacks very well with our academic awards, and it renews for 4 years. I've also added Boys State to this Boys and Girls State to this particular grouping because Boys and Girls State will need to be mentioned on your leadership scholarship application or your resume in order for you to receive extra funds for your participation in Boys and Girls State. So we do give students who have participated in Boys and Girls State additional funding, and it does weight into the leadership scholarship whenever you're applying. So just be sure to mention that there. We do have a lot of families who reach out and say, how do I get my Boys and Girls State scholarship funding? It's best just to list it on that leadership resume, and we'll include that whenever we're considering your award. Now, with the general and endowed scholarship application, when you complete the general form, you are automatically considered for a number of endowed awards. These are alumni gifted funder, I'm so sorry, donor funded scholarships that are housed through our advancement office. And this particular application assesses students for their participation in the endowed scholarships. So if you were to receive one or if you were granted one, it's going to be out of this general and endowed scholarship application. There are some scholarships within that particular application where you might want to search keywords or different criteria in order to see if you have specific scholarships that might apply to you. So you want to consider things like maybe where you're from, the county that you grew up in, the high school that you're graduating from, or even the major that you're considering participating in. There may be some additional criteria like a resume or an essay associated with those endowed scholarships, but for the most part, you're going to catch these endowed scholarships. You're going to be considered for these by completing that general and endowed scholarship application. Also featured on the general and endowed scholarship application are our scholarships of distinction. Scholarships of distinction are specific to certain majors and certain programs on campus. That's including accounting, computer science, computer information systems, information technology, data analytics, engineering, or programs within engineering like industrial and health professions. So if you're considering any of those majors, I really want to encourage you to apply for a scholarship of distinction. Those will replace your academic scholarship. So remember before we discussed stackability, these will not stack with your academic scholarships. Instead, they work to replace those. And often scholarships of distinction also come with housing scholarships. And they're set at a slightly higher rate than our academic scholarships. So I just really want to emphasize if you're considering accounting, various forms of computer science, or any form of engineering, this is a scholarship program that we highly recommend that you apply for through the general and endowed scholarship application. And it will require a few extra steps. For example, in lieu of an interview, they ask for a video essay. It doesn't have to be a super professional video, just you introducing yourself and explaining your interest in our programs here at UNA. And then last but certainly not least, on the general and endowed scholarship application, we'll discuss the Presidential Mentors Academy. Presidential Mentors Academy does have a February 1st deadline in order to accommodate their interview process. So we do encourage you, if you're considering applying for that scholarship program, to go ahead and submit your information. And the requirements and demographics are listed on the Presidential Mentors Academy page within the general and endowed scholarship application. Now we have performance awards. Performance awards are, of course, based on your participation or performance in various UNA scholarship programs or involvement programs on campus. So first, I wanted to mention the University of North Alabama bands. Typically, they will have an audition process through the spring, and connecting with the band directly is typically what our office will recommend if you're interested in auditioning for those scholarships. Same with choral performance. If you're interested in participating in those, it is a separate audition process, and our office is happy to connect you with them as well. As for publications, we do have on-campus publications, for example, the Florala, where if you are participating in that particular program, you could receive scholarships. I also like to emphasize at this point, whenever we're discussing on-campus publications as a student organization, we also have tour guides on campus, Student Government Association, residential advisors here in our housing area, where if you are participating in those on campus, you also are eligible for payment and for scholarships as well. So just want to emphasize that the longer you're here as a student and the more involved you are, the more your scholarship potential can really grow over time. And then last but certainly not least, we have athletics. If you are a student who is considering being an athlete at UNA or who has been considered, we do, of course, offer scholarships through our Division I NCAA programs. As for our last scholarship process that I really wanted to emphasize, we just have that documentation submission process. And so this one feels a little bit more vague, and I really wanted to touch on it because it really is as simple as submitting an email to UG Alert or contacting your admissions counselor. If you end up being valedictorian or salutatorian of your high school, if you just attach a letter or have your counselor send a letter to us to verify that information, we will gift you a $1,000 scholarship for your first year here at UNA. So that is a scholarship that does not renew, but it does stack with your first year opportunities, and it is a great opportunity if you end up being Val or Sal of your senior class. I do want to emphasize with Val and Sal that March the 2nd is not an ideal time to know those data or information points. So we do accept those through the summer as well. As you are awarded those distinctions, you can send those into our office. For any student that is awarded national merit or is considered a national achievement finalist, again, you can send your documentation into our office and we will award those scholarships accordingly. And then special recognition, we'll discuss in a little bit more detail on the webpage portion, but special recognition could include a number of organizations that are of distinction and that we just would have to receive some form of proof regarding your membership or invitation to join those to our admissions account or to your admissions counselor. So now we've gone over kind of our 4 primary processes. That's really how you're going to maximize your opportunities. But I do want to emphasize and highlight a few other processes that are specific to certain scholarships. So first we have the Cole Honors College. If you are a student with a 25 and above ACT, we highly encourage you to apply for the Cole Honors College. However, they do have a holistic approach in order to consider students for the Honors College. There's an essay and a resume portion. So really any student should apply, but we do like to emphasize that students at a 25 plus are closely considered for the earlier part of our scholarship opportunities. All students who are accepted into Honors College receive $1,300 per year of a renewable scholarship for a total of 8 semesters. And first year freshmen accepted into Honors College will receive a housing scholarship as well. The main thing to maintain this scholarship or to maintain its criteria is to remain in good standing with the Honors College and in order to retain your eligibility each year. We also offer a Distinguished Leader Scholarship. This scholarship in particular is offered to partner school districts. So this is for particular school districts throughout the state of Alabama. If you are interested in seeing if you have a Distinguished Leader Partnership, that is a scholarship that values of about $10,000 per year. And that particular process to apply for that scholarship is hosted through your school district. So in just a moment, I'll show you how to access a district list and how you can see if your school has an opportunity for one of our LEAD or Distinguished Leader scholarships. And as an emphasis and as a reminder, this scholarship is one of the ones that does not stack with other university scholarships. This works to replace your academic award. We also have club sports across campus. I've listed our various club sport opportunities here on this particular slide, but if you are a student who's participating in club sports, you have an opportunity to receive $1,000 for your participation each year that you participate. So there is a form associated with that. Your participation is required if you're going to join one of these organizations, but we do offer students who participate in club sports a scholarship as well. And then I really wanted to emphasize as well that we do take external scholarships. I want to talk directly to the students and the seniors that are watching this presentation now. Those community scholarships that require a resume, or maybe you have to write kind of a pointed essay in order to receive those awards, those are very much worth your time at this point in the scholarship process. The reason for that being that your freshman year at any four-year institution can really end up being your most expensive because colleges often require you to live on campus and for you to purchase a meal plan. And that's really just more linked to success numbers and graduation rates. But you will find that your freshman year can be the most expensive. Therefore, applying for your community and local school scholarships are really important at this phase of the process. We also have a list of external scholarships that our wonderful Office of Student Financial Aid kind of maintains for us. So I'll share that here in just a moment, but really wanted to emphasize that external scholarships are not to be discounted. You should absolutely look for those opportunities and consider applying for those as you find them within your community. And before we really jump into the website portion of this presentation, I always like to emphasize that we as admissions are here to support you in this particular endeavor of applying for a scholarship. This process can feel overwhelming and it can feel a little bit tedious, but we really want to encourage you directly. So if you have not connected with your admissions counselor, I want to emphasize that you do so. They can connect with you via phone, in person, or with a remote appointment. And we're more than happy to talk to you and talk to your family about your scholarship opportunities and tell you what you should apply for directly. That scholarship coaching and that scholarship consideration is very important. And this relationship is very important, right? You should talk to someone in admissions about what scholarships stack or what scholarships renew. At no point do we expect you to memorize all of these various opportunities. And we're aware too that you might be considering other schools that have different deadlines or different requirements. So let us help you as the University of North Alabama to really assess your goals and assess your scholarship opportunities directly so that we can help you with those scholarship applications. If you'll go to una.edu/connect, you can search by state and by county and connect directly with your admissions counselor via email or via their calendar if you would like to book an appointment. Okay, and for the last bit of our presentation here, we're going to go together to una.edu/scholarships. So this is the link that you can use in order to access our scholarships on our website. Just one quick moment here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and reshare just to make sure. Okay, good deal here. Okay, awesome. So this is our scholarship page. This scholarship page in particular lists all of our different pages that you can access to look at scholarships. So all you have to remember for this is una.edu/scholarships or una.edu/affordable, and it will take you directly to a list of links that apply to student types. So that's first-time freshmen. We even have transfer student opportunities, graduate and professional students, senior scholars, doctoral students. I like to emphasize military students and external scholarships here for incoming freshmen as well. If you're a student who may benefit from some form of a GI Bill or ROTC participation, that is listed here also. And then external scholarships are listed here with our Office of Student Financial Aid. So you can actually see those various opportunities listed. They do maintain a PDF that they update on a regular basis. So you can see which scholarships are due when. Just to make sure. All right, good deal. So we're going to go now to our first-time freshman scholarships page. And we're going to go to learn more. And can everybody see this page okay? Is this showing up all right? Check the. Great. Thank you, Mary. Appreciate that. All right. So this is our 2016 freshman scholarship page. You'll notice that it highlights the majority of our scholarships are due by March the 2nd, 2026. Now, this particular area just highlights the two scholarship applications that we host on this page. So you'll see our merit-based awards chart here. I do want to emphasize while we're on the chart that if you do not have a 20 plus ACT, that does not mean that we don't have academic or merit-based scholarship opportunities for you. It just means that you're going to need to go through the general and endowed scholarship application in order to be considered for an academic scholarship with a 19 or lower ACT score and a 3.0 and above GPA. So just be sure to maximize those opportunities and consider applying for the general and endowed scholarship app if you do not have that 20 plus ACT. So again, I want to emphasize relationship at this portion. This is a lot of words, right? This is a lot of legal jargon, and I really want to emphasize that our team is here to support you with these questions. So if you have any questions about your scholarships or your super score or what that's going to look like for you with the science portion added or taken away, please be sure to let us know. We're more than happy to meet with you and discuss those as well. So really quick, I'm going to minimize this leadership bar here. So all of our additional freshman scholarships are listed below the chart. And you'll see here that every scholarship type has a drop-down opportunity. So we really want you to go through here and look and see what scholarships align with you, align with your major, or align with your goals. And we've been sure to add a very specific, distinct how to apply section to all of these tabs so that you can go through and make sure that you've applied for these scholarships. So for example, our leadership scholarship, which I mentioned earlier, has our leadership scholarship and our housing scholarship opportunities. There's a how to apply button, and that's going to take you over to our general and endowed scholarship tab, where you can access that application via your MyUNA account or your UNA portal login. We do have an activity resume sample also. So if you're curious about what your resume should look like, we do take these and score them, grade them, and give them back to you in the form of a scholarship. And we typically encourage students to hang on to those and submit them after the first of the year. But you want to do that through the general and endowed scholarship application. So again, we have our endowed scholarship application here, also featured on the general and endowed scholarship application. It does emphasize, again, that lower than 20 ACT opportunity for merit-based awards. And again, a how to apply section for this as well. So as you go through here, you'll be able to see the how to apply sections for each one. I really recommend checking these out for yourself, and you'll be able to see those opportunities. One thing I wasn't really able to break down in the presentation is the special recognition scholarships. So if you identify with any of these groups here on this page, if you've been awarded National Merit, Distinguished Young Women, Gorgas, Brian Jordan, various pageant programs, youth leadership development programs across the state, we do want to know about those, and we would love to award you a scholarship for those. And you can send the documentation into UG Alert or to your admissions counselor in order to get those scholarship opportunities applied to your account. And then alternative academic scholarships are, of course, scholarships that won't stack with these academic awards featured in the chart up here. Our scholarships of distinction for accounting, computer science, information technology, CIS, data analytics, occupational health science, engineering, and engineering tech. So those academic awards will replace your academic awards that you receive for merit-based scholarships, but do have other opportunities there as well. And then your Distinguished Leader Scholarship, where you can see if your district has a partnership and connect with them in order to apply. So again, more jargon, more legal notes here, but just really want to emphasize to you that you do have options and opportunities for scholarships here at the University of North Alabama, and we're more than happy to help you with that process or help you get started on learning more about that process. This webinar is really just an introduction, right? We want you to go ahead and feel comfortable reaching out to us so that we can assess those scholarships and kind of give you some one-to-one coaching as well. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and allow some time for questions. Let's see here. And again, if you don't mind just dropping those questions over in the question and answer portion, if that's working for us. I'm going to see if Mary's hopped on here.
I'm here, Heather.
Awesome. So if you have any questions, feel free to throw those in the Q&A section. If you're having trouble accessing those, just let us know. Are you able to see that?
In my Q&A? Yes.
Okay, good deal. Awesome.
Publish. Okay. Okay, we did have a question, Hadley. It says, to confirm, if you have been enrolled in early college and will graduate high school with enough credit hours to qualify as a sophomore, you are still considered a first-time freshman for scholarship purposes, correct? That is correct.
Yes.
So our students coming in, if you've taken dual enrollment, it really doesn't matter how many hours you have coming in for scholarships. We do still consider you to be a freshman for those scholarships, as well as housing with the live-on requirement. We do still consider you a freshman for that requirement.
All right. Any other questions for now?
We do have a few more. I'm publishing those for you, Hadley.
Oh, thank you so much. I'll hang out and publish and see what I can find. I've got one from Ella Gibbons. Ella asks, Does the performance scholarship cover theater of the performing arts? That's a great question. We do have some endowed scholarships that are specific to theater and performing arts, but as of right now, I'm not aware of any performance scholarships based on a theater audition. However, Ella, I am going to take your name down and I'll reach out to you personally about that particular scholarship opportunity because I've not been asked that before. I think that's a great question. And I'll find out if there's anything specific with that department for you.
Someone asked, does the FAFSA have to be completed before applying for scholarships, or is the FAFSA required? No and no. We do not require you to complete the FAFSA in order to complete scholarships or in general. It is encouraged, but it is not required at UNA.
And Carter, I see your question here about college board recognition. We do have a couple of boards of distinction and local boards that are considered. I would recommend sending in your documentation and we'll review that for you on a case by case basis. And we can let you know if that would be recognized as one of our special recognition scholarships. So just plan to email if you have a letter or an offer letter, plan to send that over to UG Alert or to send it directly to your admissions counselor. So that's ugalert@una.edu. I'll type that in the response here.
And someone did ask, they were late joining, so they asked what our scholarship deadline is. The majority of our scholarships is going to have that March 2nd deadline, although there are a couple that may have slight differences there, but the majority are going to be on March 2nd. I think we did have some questions about housing in the chat. UNA does require freshmen to live on campus or at home. So if you are not going to live on campus, if you're going to commute, or maybe you have another reason or a need that you don't need to live on campus, there is an exemption form, but the majority of our freshmen will be on campus that first year.
I noticed Macy Johnson asked a great question. Is there a website to verify which dual enrollment credits will transfer to UNA? We do have something on our website called TES for our transfer credit equivalencies. I'm going to go ahead and drop that link. It's kind of long. It doesn't look like our typical website link, but it is a safe link, Macy. I'm just going to reply here to you and drop that in here for you. But yes, we do offer sort of a pre-evaluation for your credits with something called TES, and I'll drop that in the chat here. I did notice a question here. What scholarships cover your meal plan? So typically with your meal plan, we don't have anything that's specific to a meal plan. You're just going to want to focus on renewable opportunities. So our academic scholarship could go towards your meal plan potentially. It's really focusing more on the overall cost, and you want to build off of that. So applying for a leadership scholarship could potentially cover it. But we don't have any scholarships that exclude your meal plan. So any scholarship could potentially contribute to your meal plan. Hopefully that helps. Yes, our honors college scholarships do stack with our academic and merit-based scholarships. They will stack and renew on top of our academic and merit-based awards. And real quick, just wanted to address our out-of-state tuition. So we are actually under something called House Bill 424. Right. And House Bill 424 allows us to waive that out-of-state tuition and fee measure for students who receive $250 or more in institutional scholarships. So 250 or more. The way that I like to explain it is if you have a 3.0 and above and a 20 plus ACT, you're automatically in state. Really, if you have a 3.0 and above and you apply for that general and endowed scholarship form, you're going to receive in state. So we want to recommend that you look into those opportunities as well.
Hadley, the courses that rising seniors take in the summer, they are not scholarship eligible, correct?
That is correct. Your early college eligibility Oh, I'm so sorry, Mary. Were you saying like, do their fall scholarships apply to their summer courses?
Or they don't count towards early college scholarships?
Right, right. So no, they will not count towards early college scholarships. Although, no, I want to say no, because typically your early college eligibility ends when you're no longer in high school. So that's typically the standard answer, but I'll definitely double check and I can let everyone know in my follow-up email. But yeah, we can't consider those summer hours. I would recommend enrolling for spring for at least two courses if you want to be considered for those early college scholarships. Someone asked, speaking of early college, what is the award for early college scholarships? And is there an application or is it automatically awarded like the merit based? So we do automatically award your early college scholarship based on your early college participation. We're going to look at the number of courses you took. So you want to take at least two or more. And that's going to go all the way up to 17 credit hours. We typically look at those at a 3.0 and above GPA at UNA. So your UNA GPA has to be a 3.0 plus. We want 2+ classes, and that varies anywhere from $1,000 to $2,500 for your first year.
We did have a
Yes.
question about AP credits
Mhm.
and how they transfer. We do have on our freshman page a kind of list of AP exams and the score you need to get credit at UNA. You will need to send your official scores from College Board. So in the spring, uh, typically I think around May is when they get those. Just make sure you have those officially sent from College Board to UNA, and we will get that added to your account.
I'm gonna drop the credit transfer link in the chat here, and I'm also gonna go and grab that freshman page, Mary, so they can see how those credits will transfer.
Someone also asked if you've been accepted into UNA, how do you find and meet your advisor? That's a very good question. Um, when you have been admitted, students should receive a UNA portal account. Within that portal account, you should be able to find out who your academic advisor is. But we do have a great tool on our website. It's called Find Your Advisor. And I'll pull it up and I will drop it in the chat and in the Q&A. You can go to that link and type in the major that you want to do, and it will actually pull up your academic advisor and their contact information and a calendar. We do plan on academic advising for freshmen opening up on May 1st. So that's a bit of ways away, but students check your emails and we'll be notifying you about that. But I will go ahead and find that website for you here.
Okay, and I've got a question here also about dual enrollment. If I didn't take dual enrollment through my high school, but online classes through UNA during summer, oh, okay, we kind of addressed that already. No, you have to have that dual enrollment credit agreement with your high school. And really quick, I am going to drop our early college page in the chat because it does list all of our partner schools as well, which will be helpful in learning more about those early college scholarships. And it does feature the early college chart too. So I'm glad I went back over one in particular to.
Cheyenne, I did just respond to you. She asked, how can I connect with the counselor at UNA to discuss scholarships? And I did put that link in there. It's una.edu/connect.
And just touching on this again for Emily here in the chat, you have to take at least 6 hours, so at least two classes, and be a part of a dual enrollment partnership district in order to qualify for those early college scholarships. Cutting over here to Addison, it says on the scholarship page that out-of-state students can receive an in-state tuition if they receive $250 of scholarships. Is this any type of scholarship or are there specific requirements? The specific requirement is it has to be a UNA scholarship. So it has to be a scholarship from UNA to you to qualify you for in-state.
Tracy asked, do students already have a specific admissions counselor assigned to them? That is a good question. So the answer is yes. We tend to try to assign our admissions counselor based off of your county, or your state or your high school. So if you just go to that una.edu/connect, it will prompt you to select if you're an Alabama resident or if you're an out-of-state student. And then from there, you click your county and even your high school. And then once you get there, it will have your admissions counselor and how you can contact them.
I think we're caught up for the time being. Are there any other questions that you all wanted to ask in the Q&A or any that we missed in the chat?
It's published one, Hadley.
This is a great one. Are early college scholarships stackable with academic merit-based scholarships? Yes, they are stackable, so you do get to keep them. Now they're not renewable, so you won't have them as a sophomore, junior, or senior. But as your first year as a UNA student, yes, you would receive that early college scholarship. This is a good one too from Diane.
Yeah,
You
go
can
ahead,
take
Hadley.
it. You got it? You got
Okay.
it.
So housing scholarships, it is a set amount, $4,000 that are applicable to any of our on-campus residence halls. The only ones that they would not apply towards are going to be our apartments on campus. But you would have that 4,000 towards Mattie Lou, Rivers, Rice, Olive, Covington, Hawthorne, any of those on-campus residence halls. If that 4,000 doesn't cover the total cost of your hall, you would then just pay the difference.
I'll go ahead and drop our housing rates in the chat also, so you can see that cost for our 2025-2026 academic year. So again, that's a 4,000 annual scholarship that you get for the first 2 years, applied to any residence hall you prefer, not to apartments.
Laura asked, what's the application fee? We do not have an application fee. So save you a little bit of money there. There's no application to apply for admission, and no application for scholarships as well.
Did see someone else ask again. Sorry, catching up here. I believe it was Allie. How do we check to see what high schools are partners for dual enrollment? I have dropped that particular page in the chat here. So if you want to see what the scholarships are for early college participants, and if your school has an agreement, that link is in the chat also.
Look in the chat, we have a question. What are the ways to get housing scholarships? There are a few. I'll try to list them all. Hadley, if I miss one, jump in. Academic scholarships. So based off of ACT and GPA, you can get a housing scholarship there. Leadership scholarships, where we're looking at your activities and involvement in high school. That is also another option. The Honors College, they award housing scholarships as well. Scholarships of distinction for those particular majors that Hadley covered, also award towards housing. Did I miss any there?
I don't think so. I think you listed all of them. And so typically housing scholarships are bundled with another opportunity. There aren't really any just housing scholarships you can apply for. It's going to be through academic, honors, leadership, scholarships of distinction. Yeah. You got them all.
Oh, Micah, I'm sorry. Said Hadley did mention a housing application fee. That is correct. There is a
yes.
housing deposit. It's 150, I believe, currently. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but
It is. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. $150 housing deposit, and that must be submitted in order to actually fill out your housing application. So yes, there is technically one app fee for housing.
Is non-refundable. Typically, whenever I'm coaching families and they're looking at various colleges, I do want to be very transparent in that if you're going to eat any money in the college search process, it might be associated with housing fees. Because when you're down to that last couple of colleges that you're pretty sure that are a good fit and that you're just trying to figure out scholarships, you want to reserve a bed. So definitely talk to your family, see what works best for you. But that is typically a non-refundable fee that I see most families having to maybe put a few down just to make sure they have all their options settled. I see
Um,
Sarah. Sorry,
yes, go
Mary.
ahead, Hadley, go ahead.
I see Sarah asked, can you get multiple stackable housing scholarships? This is a great question. We do not allow you to stack housing scholarships. So when you receive a housing scholarship, it's going to be renewable for one additional year. So your first freshman year and your sophomore year. And you are not able to stack these with other housing opportunities that you receive. So you can't take a housing scholarship from honors and a housing scholarship from academics. You have to pick one. So thank you, Sarah. That was a great question as well.
And Hadley, we did have a good question in the chat on paying a housing fee. The 150, does that go towards their cost or is that a standalone deposit?
From my understanding, that's a standalone deposit. It does not lock you into a housing contract. There is a lock-in date for housing, and we are hosting a webinar on December the 1st where housing is actually going to present along with us and talk about those dates and deadlines of when you would be locked in. But no, you're not committing to a contract at that point. I do usually recommend to families that you reach back out in order to let us know if you're not coming, just so you don't end up in that contract point. But no, paying the housing deposit does not lock you into a contract. And then I noticed Macy also asked, does the $150 go towards your housing costs? No, this is purely a fee deposit. This is not a refundable deposit. You just pay $150 to submit the application for review. So we want to be fully transparent about that as well. These are really great questions. I appreciate everyone. And you stack honors and merit scholarships. Yes, you can stack academic or presidential scholarships with your honors college scholarships. Yes. Got about 8 minutes left, so we'll keep taking some questions if you all have them. And again, we will share this recording. Typically, you have to have registered for the event in order to see the recording, and I'll be happy to share my slides with everyone via the email that you registered with as well. So we can stay in touch that way. I do see two more. One is from Amber. Is early college and dual enrollment considered the same thing? Yes. So we call our dual enrollment program early college. It's just kind of the name that we have for it. If you've done dual enrollment at other schools, that's great. We love dual enrollment. There are some stipulations around transferring that credit over, but typically if you've done it at a 2-year, it's pretty straightforward. We'll take that credit for you. But UNA Early College is what's affiliated with our particular scholarships. Can you use other scholarships to help pay for housing? Yes. So housing scholarships are only going to apply to your housing portion. However, that doesn't mean that our merit-based or academic or leadership can apply towards housing as well. And I want to use this as a point to emphasize that if you're talking about cost and line item cost, and you want to see how your scholarships apply to cover that cost, you should really consider meeting one-on-one with your admissions counselor. We all will sit down with you and go over line item cost and go over scholarships, so you can get an idea of what an actual bill will look like. But at no point will we say that a scholarship can't go towards something. It's really just that housing scholarships can't go towards apartments. So we wanted to emphasize that point as well, in case that's what was causing some confusion. About 5 more minutes. Hey Amber, I'm not 100% sure if I understand the question, but let me do my best. If a student completed early college in the summer and their school isn't on your list as they push more AP, would the student still be able to accept the scholarship if completed in summer of 2025? So this past summer of summer 2025. Regardless, if you do not have a dual enrollment agreement with UNA, you do not qualify for those early college scholarships, unfortunately. Your benefit of completing early college courses without a dual enrollment agreement is that $99 course fee. So it is significantly lower cost if you complete a dual enrollment course with us in general. But you do not get that return on investment in forms of a scholarship if you do not have an agreement at your high school. That being said, we do value AP scores. If your student is taking AP and they're sending CLEP scores over, those do tend to arrive in July. So it's kind of hard to find hard to find the sweet spot with advising and how to get in those courses. We're happy to communicate with you about that over the summer, but we do still encourage AP. So hopefully, Amber, that kind of helped. I'm so sorry. If it didn't, I'm more than happy to elaborate more. I noticed there were some in the Q&A.
Yes, Jamie asked if my daughter doesn't qualify for the early college scholarship, or will her dual enrollment classes still be accepted for transfer? Yes, they will. If you've taken any, from another institution, typically those will transfer over with no problem, even if she didn't get that scholarship. I think, Sadie, that probably answered your question. Does the dual enrollment class have to be directly through UNA dual enrollment to gain the scholarship? Yes, to get the scholarship, it does have to be through UNA dual enrollment, but you can just take dual enrollment through another school and transfer those credits to UNA. You just would not qualify for the UNA early college scholarship.
And I do want to encourage you, if you've taken dual enrollment, say at your local community college or through another university, you can list that on your leadership resume. We would love to know that when you apply for leadership. We would love to count that towards your leadership points. You're only going to get credit for it and get the scholarship if you've done it through UNA. I'm sorry, you're going to get the scholarship for it. We're going to take your credit as much as we can. We want to take that dual enrollment credit. So I just want to emphasize that if you've done it at another 2 year or a 4 year, do list it on your leadership resume. We do want to know about it. So these have been really great questions. We appreciate you all so much. Are the band scholarships just for the marching band? My understanding is that like we have like a jazz ensemble. We have a couple of different bands that do offer scholarships. I would defer to band on that particular question. We can connect you with them directly. We love our band. We love our team over in band. If you happen to visit campus, I know they would love to meet with you. But we do have a couple of other bands. We have orchestra. So we have a couple of other bands on campus that do offer scholarships as well.
Abby, I think we've got time for one or two more. I just published one and looks like we have one in the chat.
I'll go ahead and if you missed the beginning of this, don't panic. We're more than happy to share the recording with you, or we can meet with you one-on-one. It might take us a day or two to get the recording out and send it back out because it'll be kind of a large file, but we'll work on that for you as soon as we can if you missed the front end. I'm sorry about that, Sadie, but thanks for letting us know.
And then it says, where in the resume would you list dual enrollment credits? It doesn't have to be in any particular location. We do ask that you keep your resume to about a page if you can. Once they get to be too lengthy, it gets a little bit hard to score. So if you can keep it to about a page, but wherever it is on that page really does not make a difference for scoring. Don't see any more in review, Hadley, so that might be it.
And before we hop right off, I'm just going to drop the scholarship link in the chat here. But again, really want to emphasize that if you want to connect with our office, please do. We'd both be happy to help you. And we have appreciated all of your time so very much. So thanks everybody. All right.
Yeah. Thank you all for attending. Have a good
Thanks
night.
everyone. Thanks.